We've got detailed leak specifications for the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. That's right, the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. They're coming from an unknown source, but are we getting this camera in the second quarter of 2023? Details coming up, but first, I encourage you to subscribe and choose all notifications so you're kept informed on the latest camera gear, news, and rumors. Is the Canon EOS R5 Mark II coming out in the second quarter of 2023, similar to what I predicted in a previous video? Well, Canon Rumors had this to say about that. This time, we're not quick to dismiss the information sent to us about the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, a camera that may be coming out in the second quarter of 2023. This information comes from a known source with a very good track record. While not a perfect track record, who really does in the rumors world? Wow, so the Canon EOS R5 is supposed to be coming out in the second quarter of 2023. That's just 4 months away to 7 months away at the latest. And if that's true, then we should start to get leaked specifications right around, well, now. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. I just woke up. Actually, this is my second time recording this because the first time I forgot to turn on audio. So I'm kicking myself right now, but we have over 18 leaked specifications for the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. I want to draw your attention back to January the 27th, 2020. This is when Canon Rumors under Craig Blair, the founder and editorial director at the time, said that the Canon EOS R5 was going to be capable of doing 8K video up to 30 frames per second. That's 8K RAW, would be able to do 4K up to 120 frames per second, have IBIS, auto exposure, uncropped. People thought, how could Canon possibly leapfrog the competition? And I was kind of shocked by these specs myself. And I thought, wow, if this camera is true, I'm going to have to get this camera myself. And I did. It's right here in the studio. I've been shooting with it for over 2.5 years now. And I actually had it from Canon Canada for about a week before the launch. And I really enjoyed using it then. And the camera has morphed and changed so much with about 10 firmware updates since its release, now giving us unlimited 8K RAW recording and unlimited 8K oversample 4K and all the basic frame rates. But are you ready for the leaked specifications? Let's jump into those right now. The Canon EOS R5 Mark II has a new sensor, and the resolution is north of 45 megapixels as I predicted, but it's gone way north. Same as the Sony a7 R5, 61 megapixels, and it's not going to be a stacked sensor, but it's going to be backside illuminated. So that's really, really good because that means it's going to be able to gather more light. It's going to be able to provide better low light performance and most likely better dynamic range alone. And right there, I know many of you are thinking, Simon, where's the pre-order button? I want this camera now. I want to be first in country with it. Easy, we're not ready for the pre-orders right now, but when we are ready, I will let you know, and I'll be the first in line here in Canada. All right, so what about the Digic X image processor? Is it going to be in the Canon EOS R5 Mark II? Yes, it is. And I said this in a previous video when I was predicting the specifications for the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. And I said, if it comes after the R1, then yes, it should have a new Digic 11 image processor, the same one in the R1. But if it comes before then, I see no reason why Canon won't put the same Digic X image processor in it. This is a pretty good image processor. It was debuted with the 1DX Mark III back in 2020, and it's been put in every Canon camera since. It provides them with economies of scale. They only have to worry about producing the same part. So that's good news there. But we also get the backside illuminated. That's going to help us on the sensor. But what about the other specifications? And I'm happy to say that that Digic X image processor isn't going to hold back in terms of performance. I also predicted that the Canon EOS R5 Mark II would be able to shoot between 20 and 30 frames per second. And according to Canon Rumors source, the Canon EOS R5 Mark II will be capable of 30 frames per second. It doesn't say if that's at 61 megapixels, if it's at 48 megapixels or something therein. I'm not reading into anything, but 30 frames per second electronic, 12 frames per second mechanical. And it's going to have the same IBIS system found in the R5, the R3, that's an 8-stop IBIS system. And it's also going to have a new high-resolution shooting mode, that same pixel shift technology. I wonder if it's going to be as good as the pixel shift technology in the Sony a7 R5 that's able to take away that blur. It's able to shoot fast enough that we don't see any blur from the movement of grass and leaves. That would be a really big deal. The digital teleconverter is capable of 2 times, 4 times, and even 8 times. And yes, it does have the same dual pixel autofocus system found in the Canon EOS R3 and the R6 Mark II. But now let's take a look at the video specifications for this camera. The Canon EOS R5 was capable of 8K, 24, 25, and 30 frames per second at RAW, All-I, IPB, and IPB Light. I'm happy to tell you that the Canon EOS R5 Mark II is capable of 8K up to 60 frames per second, although there's no mention of what codecs there's no mention of whether it can do RAW or All-I. But in 4K, Canon Rumors says that we're going to get full sensor readout oversampled, which would put it at 9.2K oversampled, 4K, 24, 25, 30, 50, 60. Yeah, it keeps going. 100 and 120 frames per second. Again, there's no detailed specs in what this means. I'm assuming it's going to be 9.2K oversampled because Canon Rumors does say it's going to be oversampled, although they didn't mention anything about 8K being oversampled and no mention about 8K doing RAW. But what about frame rates higher than 120? Is this camera going to be able to push 180 like I suspected, or even 240 frames per second? Yeah, but it's in full HD, so in full HD, we'll be able to push up to 240 frames per second. There's no mention of Apple ProRes or any other codecs or B-RAW or anything like that. I hope we get validation on that coming up shortly, but still, 9.2K oversampled 4K up to 120 frames per second, giving us more detail 4K 120. I think that's a big deal, and I'm looking forward to that. I just hope that the 8K is oversampled as well. The Canon EOS R5 Mark II does have breathing compensation, which is really good if you're shooting with lenses like the Canon RF 50mm f1.2. The focus breathing on that thing is pretty hefty. It's pretty impressive. So to have that breathing compensation would be terrific. But there's something else that I'm pretty impressed with. If we get that 2x, 4x, and 8x digital teleconverter, that pretty much, well, it helps give us parfocal zooming. And of course, with breathing compensation, that's what I'm really happy to see in this camera because parfocal lenses are very, very expensive. However, this camera does have some overheat protection. With firmware 1.6 on the Canon EOS R5, we're able to shoot now even up to 96 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 degrees Celsius. We're able to shoot unlimited 8K RAW and 8K oversampled 4K. Now in 8K, in the 8K video modes, we're supposed to be able to shoot up to around 40 minutes. And in the 4K video modes, over 60 minutes. No details there. I want to know, see, the devil is always in the details. I want to get validation in future updates, and we should probably get that within the next days to weeks, because with this coming out, it's going to create a big stir, and we'll start to get validation from other sources, especially on the date and the price. And we'll talk about price in a little bit, but yeah, this is shaping up to be a super camera. One other thing that you're going to be really impressed with, the Canon EOS R5 has a CF Express Type B card slot and a UHS card slot. The Canon EOS R5 Mark II is getting dual CF Express Type B card slots. Pretty impressive. That should give us the ability to dual record video in all modes to both card slots, assuming the camera's got the processing power to be able to do so. And that's a huge deal. That's a big deal. But that HDMI port, good news. It's a full-size HDMI port. But we also get something else, dual USB-C ports. Dual. Interesting. So it looks like Canon's got more room. Is this going to be a bigger camera body? I wonder. Now, I do know, looking at the side of the Canon EOS R5, there's certainly room for a full-size HDMI port, and they could probably fit in 2 USB-C ports as well. I'm wondering if they've taken anything away. But we're not done with the specifications. The LCD, the flippy screen, is going to be different as well. I'm told, according to Canon Rumors, that it's going to be engineered better for video shooting. Huh. Does that mean it comes up and over like this? We'll just have to wait and see. I'm really curious. Have I left anything out? New design LCD. Oh, yes. Now this, along with the new sensor, the 61 megapixel sensor, has a little bit of a red flag going because it's very much of an homage to the Sony a7 R5. And that's that it's going to have a 9.44 million dot EVF, something we haven't seen from Canon. The Canon EOS R5 has around 5.76 million dots. So maybe this is Canon's way of saying, yeah, you know what, if Sony can do it, we can do it. If Sony can do it with the 61 megapixels, we can do that. We can match their 9.44 million dots. Or is this, because sometimes what happens with rumors, it's not like we're getting information from one source directly from where things are happening. Quite often that information can pass through multiple different sources before it gets to us. And with that broken telephone, I'm just wondering if we're getting a 9.44 million dot, and it's a 61 megapixel backside illuminated sensor. despite my hesitations, I'm remembering back to January the 27th, 2020, when Canon Rumors leaked the specifications, some 12 to 14 specifications for the Canon EOS R5, a camera that had specs at the time that nobody believed. So I'm willing to give Canon Rumors, or their source, the benefit of the doubt. And when I was talking to Craig just a day ago, I was talking to him about the news and everything that's going on, how things are crazy. And he said, yep, it's really crazy. I've got something to put out, but I'm not putting it out today. And I figured he might do something Friday. So that's why when I woke up this morning, I thought I'd quickly check the news to see if something came out, and I couldn't believe it. I thought, wow, an R5 Mark II, I have to get up early, record this video. I didn't think I was going to have to do it twice, but I did because I screwed up. I forgot to record audio, and well, that's what happens when you wake up at 4 in the morning after about 3 to 4 hours of sleep. You forget stuff. But I've got some even better news for you. If you have any question, if you have any doubts about these specifications, well, I've got the source coming on my channel. Well, not the source of Canon Rumors, but I have Craig Blair, the founder of Canon Rumors, and who's apparently still the editorial director. He's going to be live on my channel at 9 a.m. That's right, 9 a.m. Friday, November the 25th. Today, we're going to be talking about, well, you know what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the R1, but also the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. And that's going to start around 9:10. For the first 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to talk about some of the crazy deals we're seeing on cameras, lenses, and other video editing gear. And after talking with Craig Blair about all things Canon, the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, the R1, and other cameras, I've got another special guest, and that's Gordon Lang of Camera Lab. So stick around. An awful lot is going on today. We'll be taking your questions as well, your comments. So I'm really looking forward to today's coverage, special Black Friday coverage, where we're going to spend less time talking about all the deals, and we're going to spend more time talking about Canon Rumors, the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, the Canon EOS R1. Maybe Craig will have some more validation at that point because, well, by the time this live stream takes place, the information will have been out for about 6 or 7 hours. So I'm super excited. And if you want to stay up to date on all the latest breaking news and rumors on camera gear, please go ahead and subscribe and choose all notifications. By choosing all notifications, as soon as I publish a new video like this one here, you'll get notified so you can stay up to date on all the latest camera news and rumors. That saves you from scrubbing all the Twitter feeds, the RSS feeds, all your favorite websites, YouTube channels, and print magazines, because I cover all the major camera brands, all the major camera news. I do it 24/7, even though I'm a one-person shop. So please subscribe and choose all notifications. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget my live stream. We'll see you again soon.